We're going to call the meeting to order. The October 8th Fair Board meeting. And as information for our audience, if you're not satisfied with the decision made by the Metropolitan Board of Fair Commissioners today, you may appeal the decision by petitioning for a writ of cert with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of entry of the board's decision. To ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met, please be advised that you should contact your own independent legal counsel. We've got all these mics are hot. I don't know if we're getting some feedback. How's the sound out there? All right, the meeting's called to order. And
I think it's like
our first order of business is to review the minutes from September 10th meeting. These have been circulated to the board for review. And if we're ready to approve them, we can accept a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve these minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, minutes from September 10th are approved. Wait a minute, where's my, recycle that. Okay. That's annoying.
yeah. He's looking to turn it off.
All right, we're going to move to public comment time. We've got a podium here. 3-minute limitation, please. State your name and address if you care to speak. The podium's open.
Does everybody have a switch on their mic?
Yeah, if you can turn that.
Turn it on when they
Yeah, just turn it on when you... Okay. If there are no public comments at this time, we will move right along to the monthly reports. Financial report, Felicia Bowman, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You don't have a financial report in your packet. Sorry. You don't have a report in your packet this morning. As you know, the city moved to a new financial system, R12, and we have been having major issues at the Fairgrounds with R12 and getting bills processed and getting our month-end journal entries processed. And finance is working diligently with us to get those issues fixed. Hope to have a financial report for you guys next month. I can tell you that we have not had any major outliers in our expenses and revenues for the first quarter of the year. As a matter of fact, for our first flea market here in the new facilities, parking was as high as it's ever been in the last 10 months. We brought in $30,000 for parking for the first flea market here. Last September, booth rental for the flea market was $116,660, and this September it was $118,707. So we are on track with our revenues and our expenditures, and again, I hope to have the report for you next month.
Okay. Coffee spill. Do you have a report? Anybody have questions for Felicia? On top of that, you had your move. How's the move to the new office? And
Everything's going great. This month, guess the end of last week, we got our key cards for the employees to work the doors. We're working diligently with contractors to address any issues that we're finding in the buildings. But so far, everything's going great.
Good. Any other questions? No? Okay. All right. Executive Director's report?
Yeah, I just want to
Thank you.
echo Felicia's comments on the flea market. I know everybody was really nervous. Our staff was really nervous. I think our program team was really nervous going into the first major event in our new facilities. Frankly, the vendors were nervous too, just wondering how everything was going to go. I think it's safe to say overwhelmingly the vendors were incredibly patient. They were flexible. They worked with us in a new way of doing things. We did allow for an added extra day on Wednesday for load-in, and that was really helpful. It provided a sense of comfort to the vendors that knew that they could take their time, kind of learn the facility, learn the routes. So that was really helpful. And we're going to continue that for the next couple months in order to make load-in a little bit easier. As you can imagine, it does take longer to set up than it does to move out on the flea market. Overwhelmingly, walking around on Friday, it was very apparent that we had our largest number of customers in some time. Vendors were telling me they hadn't seen that many people on a Friday in a year. So that was really encouraging. We were stopping customers, asking them how they liked the facilities, and they commented that the lighting was fantastic. It really made the merchandise shine. They were probably the most comments on the air conditioning, to the point where air conditioning in this room, the temperature had to be turned up. It was a little chilly in here. And then just the organization and the cleanliness of the facility was commented to us by customers time and time again. By Sunday, again, I think the nerves ramped up a little bit again. Vendors were concerned about the procedure for loadout. Again, we were as well, but we thought we had a good plan, and it went very well. It did take a little bit longer to load out than it did up on the hill. However, we had 70% of the vendors gone within 2.5 hours. So considering there's 3 days of load-in, and 2.5 hours, most everybody was gone. So we had some glitches, and we're working through those. We had some, Comcast went down a little bit on Friday, so we had to reboot and do some work on our Wi-Fi. It was down for a little under an hour. Since then, we have increased our internet speed over 3 times. So we went from 300 megabytes to 1 gig in service, and increased our upload speed, which will assist our vendors in processing payments. So that adjustment was made after. We did keep the same internet plan that we had up on the hill. What we didn't factor in is the added vendors, because we have added outdoor Wi-Fi. And so the load was a little bit larger than what we had experienced up there. So now with the analytics that ITS has run, we should have ample capacity to address any Wi-Fi issues moving forward. It'll also help our network speed as well. So that has been resolved. We're still working on the fact that we have less than stellar cellular service in the buildings. I'm sure you all are aware of that. Some providers are worse than others, and so we are definitely working with ITS on options and what those options look like to improve cell phone signal within the buildings. Otherwise, we're going to look at this week meeting with our security team, the officers who work to help us manage traffic control on site, as well as our flea market and event staff to make any tweaks to building layouts and such. We did note that there is some booth relocations that we're going to do that helps the vendor in certain situations in these buildings. So we're going to make those adjustments and work with those vendors individually. Overall, it was a resounding success. I don't think any of the glitches, probably some of them, the customers weren't even aware of. But it was a very good financial weekend for many of the vendors that I talked to, and they were very encouraged. So we'll keep continuing to work with them and work out, whatever considerations need to be made to make it easier, and we'll keep improving as the market continues.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to thank Mary Ann and the rest of the Fairgrounds staff for wonderful launch event. I know it was a lot of stress, and but it was I had probably a dozen text messages of people came to the facility and just talked to how wonderful it was, and glad to see the revenue numbers match the other feedback we got too. So just want to thank everybody involved.
Thanks, Caleb. Any other questions or comments?
Mary Ann, would you like to add anything? Okay.
Well, thank you very much. You guys did great. And it's just it's the first one. I know the staff will continue to improve, and our executive director will continue to bring improvements to the operation in our new facility. So, all right. We will move on to old business. Fairgrounds Improvement Project update, please. Good morning, Ed.
Morning, Ned. Good morning, board. Everybody hear me okay? All right, awesome.
A little bit up, maybe?
Just up a little bit. Is this better?
That's better.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get it closer. You all should have the sheet that you normally see, the blue spreadsheet dashboard that you normally have prepared for the budget. It'll look a little bit different this month. Added some detail there, so I'm gonna bounce around a little bit. Usually go from top to bottom. I'm gonna bounce around a little bit, address some changes in some line items that are essentially reflective of where we are in the project. So it's all good news and good information. But I just want to walk down it, and I'll jump around a little bit just to address and highlight the changes to some of those line items. And then I'll work through the report in the fashion that I normally do, just giving an update of where we stand in terms of items and costs remaining. So the first thing let me address this first. When I say there are changes in line items, there are no changes in funding sources. So the funding amount remains the same, and those sources are the same. The line items that I'm talking about there being changes are the line items under the source, under the uses, excuse me. The first change I want to highlight is under construction. That line item for the Expo building construction has actually increased. The reason being is if you were to jump down a little bit further to the section for the demolition, that is a little bit more detailed now. We're at a point in the project where we've been given numbers back, pricing back from procurement for the cost to demolish the buildings on the top of the hill. Those costs came in favorably. And so now we've been able to also work with our project management team and our design team to get costs for the engineering, slight amount of engineering related to that process of abating and demolishing those buildings. And so now with those prices coming in, we now have a good idea of the funds we can allocate for general purpose building. So we've been working through several options on that space primarily used for storage and staging, helping Laura's operations staff. Of course, they're going to lose a lot of storage as we start to demolish those buildings. So now that we have that pricing in, we can adjust the budget to reflect what we can do in that area. So that price has, that line item has increased. And so what you'll see now is the construction line item saying about 90% complete. Want to address that one, that increased the line item by a little bit over $750,000. That's a direct allocation for that general purpose space. And the majority of those funds that are remaining are retainage release. So we're sitting in the building, clearly it's operational, large portion, the majority of the work is done. There are a few items that still need to be completed. Most of those are external to the building, the landscaping, so you'll see that as you walked in this morning. But the majority of the $3.8 million remaining is retainage release to subs and that'll start to be released over the coming weeks here. Jumping down to design and engineering, again, slight increase in the dollars in that line item. Those dollars there are reflecting us to get to completion of the project. So this is just adjusting that line item for basically the foreseeable future for the project. And so all those funds will take care of any of the costs for our design team. We went through an exercise having our design team provide us costs to get to completion. So we're very comfortable with that number and where we stand. FF&E, that line item has not moved much, but there's been a lot of work there. I will echo a little bit of what Felicia has mentioned about the system. So we have contractors that have worked, they've invoiced. Payments for those are processing as we speak. We had a little email traffic the end of last week and the first of this week. So by the time I present next month, you'll see some significant jumps in that line item reflecting those dollars actually being paid. We do have invoices in hand, and they've been reviewed and approved, but actually being paid, those will be reflected by the time I report to you next month. Project management, no real moves there. No real moves there. There was a slight reduction in the contingency line item, and that's been moved to help bolster that construction line item that I mentioned. Again, we did this exact same exercise internally with our program and project management team. Feel very comfortable with the dollars that we have left to get to the finish line. So that line item did not move, but the contingency in that section shrank down. It's just under $3,000 now, which we don't feel we'll need it, but it is there. But again, that adjustment was to bolster that construction line item. And then I will say again, overall project contingency now is down to $10,000. There is a contingency built into the construction line item. I know that's a small number for such a big project, but there is a contingency built into the construction line item. Again, we did the exercise that we went through with our design team, so we feel comfortable with that. And then the FF&E line item also has a contingency. And then again, I'll restate, we're fairly comfortable with where we are with project management. So the need for contingency now has shrank to a point where I think that dollar amount may end up being something that Laura can allocate as needed for any items as her and Felicia see fit, like they mentioned earlier. I will touch on the demolition section now that it's broken out. One of the things that we have done is receive pricing back from procurement. Just want to be clear that that was a procurement process, and so that'll be a different contractor that'll be performing the work than what was done here. I believe they have a contract in hand, needs to be reviewed and signed and executed, but we have a price point there, and that construction line item under demolition also covers some other work that will need to be done related to utility work. So it's an amalgamation of a few things, but that construction line item covers all those costs, as well as has a small contingency associated with that as well. Part of the exercise that I mentioned earlier related to design and engineering, we do have costs from our design and engineering team to manage that demolition piece, so we feel very comfortable with that. Again, we're just starting, so there's a small contingency associated with those funds. It's almost a little mini project, so you'll see a little bit of redundancy in how I've set this up. Same thing again, project management and materials testing. We've reached out. We have internally reviewed that, and we feel comfortable with those numbers. So all in all, with that project, looking at just over $1 million, $1,047,500 to take care of all the demolition on the top of the hill. I'll be reporting that as it moves along, just as I've done with the expo building. So we'll be able to get more in detail once we start. And I feel like Michelle will give a little bit of update on the timeline for that. But just to close before any questions, we still have infrastructure in the park as a line item there. To my latest knowledge, and Laura, correct me if you know something more current than this, but the plan is still for the Elections Commission to move out early to mid-December. And so you'll see those dollars start to move when we can remobilize down there in that area to complete that scope. And then finally, we still have the funds allocated for the grandstands remaining unchanged from the last time that I presented to you all. So we'll continue to monitor those, report those. If there's any movement needed, we'll adjust as Laura sees fit and present that to the board. Any questions before I turn it over to Michelle?
Any questions? Thank you.
Good.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing?
Morning. Well, thanks.
It's finally fall. I'm enjoying the weather. Hopefully you are too. Get to break out our boots, which is always really nice. We just wanted to kind of echo what Laura said. The flea market this last week, again, there were definitely a little bit of nerves, first really big event like this. And I was here Friday and Sunday. Everyone I spoke with, customers and vendors, there was a lot of really great positive feedback, which is really wonderful. And I'm going to echo what Laura and Marianne also have said. With the nice, bright buildings, all of the antiques, all of the glass, all of the really unique items really did shine. It was pretty cool to see that. So that was something that was really wonderful to experience. So just wanted to give you, there's a couple of photos that you've got from the flea market if you all weren't here. Hopefully, we'll get to see it all again in a few weeks for October. But the flow went really well, I thought. A lot of room for moving around for folks shopping and walking through the aisles. So it was really nice. It worked well. We just kind of, also, and wanted to echo, there was a little bit of comment on how cold it was in this building. But if you remember, it was 95, I think even 98 outside. So that was kind of one of those, yes, wins for a construction team. So, it's when it's summertime and sweltering hot outside and it's cold inside, that's pretty nice. So, sorry about that. So anyway, there's a little bit of work going on. We'll just kind of focus on that for a moment. What we're doing, the construction team is really finishing punch list items, little bit of things in the building. Most of it's outside, as you can see, in the courtyard. That has taken a little longer than we anticipated because we found a lot of bedrock right there at the surface. So that's why that, is still progressing right now. All of the concrete work, I believe, is finished, and they're going to start laying sod, I believe, tomorrow. Friday. Okay, this week. You'll start to see sod going in. Reminder, that's that reinforced turf, so it's not just like putting out down dirt and grass. There's quite a bit of engineering that goes below it, and that reinforced turf is the same as Fair Park. It's a little bit more sturdy, so it can handle a lot of pedestrian traffic and food trucks and that kind of thing. So that's sort of why there's a little bit more attention and time going into the soil that's underneath that reinforced turf. But you'll see that going in. And really, that's going to soften this whole area. That view is going to be probably everyone's favorite once you have that up and running. So it'll be nice to see that in October. As Laura mentioned, the AV and IT equipment, once we got up and running, we noticed a few things that were not working as everyone anticipated and hoped. The capacity for Wi-Fi is one thing, so Metro ITS has been wonderful to work with and involved and here, every step of the way to help improve those services. So that's really good. A little bit of AV, a little bit more IT work that we're going to kind of continue to work those kinks out just to improve the functionality of the space. So those things are happening and they're continuing. That's still kind of punch list item. Still have a little bit of training to do with the staff. I think Fairgrounds has been kind of busy the last month or so with the state fair and flea markets and moving. So just getting everything done and ready and then a good training so everyone understands what to do. That's kind of the next step. Ed mentioned the multi-purpose facility, which we right now have in permitting phase. So we've got that designed, and now that we kind of are able to move those funds towards that, you'll start to see some activity happening there in the next probably Yeah, a month or so. I'd say, by next month we'll see some activity happening over there, and the demolition as well. So right now that's in the contracts. And contracts are circulating for signatures right now. So we anticipate to start the demolition as soon as we have that contract in hand and ready. So we've kind of lined things up there. Of course, we still have the fairground staff moving things out. So that's happening currently in the next couple of weeks, and have a designated space to put that for now. So that's kind of all I have for the expo updates. My partner in crime is not here today, so I'm going to kind of continue on and give an update on infrastructure and MLS. I'm happy to answer any questions afterwards if you'd like about all of this. Of course, infrastructure is in the design phase. We are anticipating 30% concept design, so that's happening mid-month, so about a week or two from now. We'll see those concept designs. Again, that's supporting the roads and infrastructure and utilities to support the Fairgrounds campus and all of the developments on it. And then, of course, the MLS project. The design development drawings have been submitted, and they're in review among the team, and also pricing is going on. Those pricing exercises, those kind of go hand in hand along the way. You get designs and pricing and just kind of keep it in check along the way. So that's really what the focus has been. We continue to meet with metro agencies for all of the projects regularly. We normally would have one this week, but we've actually, since there's not a ton to report, we've updated with an email, and we'll focus for next month for that metro-wide email update. I don't have any other updates. Since you all have questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Michelle. So do you envision the demo being started the next month?
We're ready. As soon as we have our, all of our ducks in a row and contracts, we're ready to begin. Of course, it's a series, so it's not all going to come down at once. I mean, we'll phase that in, and you'll start with silt fencing and construction fencing to kind of secure the site.
Do we have an update on the election commission building?
The last that I've heard, I think is the same we've reported. We're anticipating, I think it's December 7th is when that new space is available. So after that, we're also
after the first of the year then.
Yeah.
Okay. And do we have an update on plans for the maintenance shed?
Sure. Right now that's in permitting. It's a multi-purpose building, I guess. There's both conditioned space, inside space, as well as covered storage. So that's right. Thank you, Ed. And secured fencing, of course. So that's and it's still located at the top of the hill.
In the corner. Volunteer Village. Okay.
Yep. And so those designs have been reviewed among the fairground staff. They're in permitting right now, so that's moving along as well.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
It's not.
Hi, David.
Like right here.
It's freelancing here, but we just had the state fair. Can we have an update, please?
Well, it seems like we couldn't have gotten much drier weather. I wish it would have been a little bit cooler on the last weekend. It was over 100-degree heat index on the last Saturday and Sunday, and our attendance on those days were down just slightly, just due to the fact during the heat of the day there was no one out here, and it's just so hot. But in the 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, people started coming when the sun went down. We just couldn't, you're trying to get them in here as fast as you can, but when you have such a small window. But overall, I think our attendance for the fair, we finally got our Kroger numbers in last week. We're up slightly overall, but like I said, if that last Saturday and Sunday would have been just, low 90s, we'd have really probably had a real good Saturday and Sunday, but it was just way too hot to bring the kids out here. But all in all, no major incidents, no ride incidents, policing part, safety, all that went well. We were very blessed with the fair. We always look forward, try to work hard to do that. But all in all, we were happy. You always want more. You never, how that is. But we're looking forward to trying to work till next year. And of course, like I said the last meeting, we just need to try to get together and try to work through some of the logistical things that we need to be able to host a fair. So, and welcome, Matt.
All right. Anybody have questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so we now turn to the contract with Formosa Productions, please.
So last month, we had a discussion towards the end of the meeting in regards to a notice to cure that was sent to Formosa Productions due to lack of payment on the lease. Our meeting was September 10th. The notice to cure date was by September 12th. We did not receive payment by the September 12th, 4:30 deadline, and to this date, we still have not received any payments. There are several options certainly available to the board at this point on what to do moving forward. Certainly, an option is to remain status quo, which would involve just documenting status of payment and communicating with Formosa Productions on the fact that payment is due and just sending invoices, etc. Option B, which verbally we have been both Formosa Productions has indicated verbally that they are interested in amending their contract. We can do that in a couple ways. There's infinite possibilities on how to amend the contract. Their desire would be to amend the payment dates in the contract and move it back till the end of the year. I'm not sure if that preference has changed at all since our discussion on September 18th, but at least verbally, that was the discussion that was had and the ask. Certainly, we could amend the contract to adjust the contract term and then agree to mutually terminate under the existing contract at the end of the 2019 racing season. I will note that there is one additional race. The All-American 400 is scheduled for November 2nd and 3rd, so keep that in mind, that there is still a race left in this season. Option 3 is another option that Formosa Productions has indicated that they are interested in, and that is a renegotiation of the lease. There are several ways to do that, again, and that could be for full renegotiation under an RFP process or direct contracting under our authority for entering into contracts for entertainment purposes or amusement purposes. Option D, we have a termination clause in our contract. One option is terminating for breach, for lack of payment, which is did require a 30-day notice, which we have provided that notice to cure. A second termination option is termination for convenience, and that does require a 90-day notice. As stated, there are infinite options within there. It's really the board's purview on any or all of those and provisions in between. So I wanted to present those options to you formally and certainly for your discussion, and if you have any questions for either me or for Claire or Tony, who are here in the audience.
Laura, just to get the numbers straight, so the overdue lease and rent payments are $96,400,
Correct.
and then there's this payment, that food and beverage commission payment from the 2018 season is still due, correct?
That's correct.
And that's $31,000?
Correct.
Okay. And are those the two amounts that are currently due?
Correct.
Okay.
Do we have any advice from our council?
Okay. I do want to make sure that the board is aware of the process in terms of us following up. As you recall, at the last meeting, Mr. Formosa appeared with his attorney, Mr. Jim Roberts, and it was the board's desire at that time for Mr. Roberts to, I think Mr. Bergeron raised a question about renegotiation and pointed out that the Fairgrounds had not been contacted by Mr. Roberts concerning that and whether that would be the case or not. And I believe Mr. Roberts asked what would be the procedure, and we suggested that he contact the legal department and I would work with him on that. I do want to report back to the board that I did reach out to Mr. Roberts, I believe the next day, and he and I communicated concerning that as per the instructions of the board. We suggested, I believe he suggested the meeting occur around the week of September 16th. We were unavailable at that time, and I suggested the week of September 23rd. That communication took place toward the middle, I think the middle of September, if I recall correctly. At that point, he was going to check with his client and determine whether or not the week of September 23rd would work or make another suggestion. I did not hear back from Mr. Roberts concerning that meeting until around October the 3rd, which was around last week. So there were a couple of weeks, I think, that kind of got by us. We were not able to set up a meeting at that juncture. And today, legal would be looking for any direction from the board as to what we need to take into consideration as it moves forward. So I will be listening for you all, for your direction to me as I work with Mr. Roberts to the extent that we need to continue to work together. But I did also want to make sure that you all were aware that Mr. Roberts has emailed me and indicated he would not be able to be here today.
And Laura, you've still had meetings with the Formosas all through this time without Mr. Roberts being present, right?
We've had 2 meetings since then.
Okay.
Okay. Does anybody have any initial comments or questions on the matter?
I just do want to reiterate the fact that it is not lost on Fairgrounds staff, nor this board, that there is a remaining race. I've been contacted by a lot of people, racers who are certainly interested on the outcome of these discussions. They have a lot of time and money invested in their sport, and they love their sport. And so through discussions, I can only say that it is going to be very critical that the racing community get a clear message of what that at least immediate future, especially the All-American, looks like as they want to make investments and make some very important decisions on that race for themselves to make sure that they are here or not.
Thank you, Laura and legal, for the recap on the summary of matters concerning the racing contest. I know this hasn't been a new issue. We've discussed this at several the last board meetings. I know this was also an issue last year for lack of non-payment, and we got subsequently worked out. One of the things that I guess troubled me as part of the summary, as well as the non-payment issues, was around the ARCA race. I mean, that felt that was something that we had built as an event here, had that relationship started, and it appears there just wasn't any feedback back to them before deciding not to come. So it kind of goes to the reputational risk that we have from the Fair Board from some of these things. And as the member of the Fair Board on the RFP, I hate that we're in this type of situation. One of the things also that I think we haven't had happen since we selected the vendor on the RFP was there was a talk of a lot of extra special events. I think we've only had a handful, very few of those. But overall, for a contract that we're 125, 130,000, as well as the Fair Board is and Metro has put in $1 million to date, nearly $1 million for grandstand improvements, and have another $850,000 set aside for that. There's just not a lot of ROI going in for this particular item on this, and overall, I'd like to hear from the Formosas, especially I don't think we had any feedback from them last meeting when this was discussed, just to see, I feel like we're getting put in a very bad position in here, and I'd like to hear from them, especially on what their plans are, and why we shouldn't, look to cancel the contract.
Yeah, and before we do that, first of all, I also would like to recognize the Formosas for their tenure here and holding it together through lots of changes and lots of what-ifs with this whole facility over the last 10 years or so. I would like to acknowledge that. Also, acknowledge the fact that, this facility is pro-racing, there's going to be racing, there's a racetrack here. We're trying to make improvements and come up with a plan that works for the racing community, for the city of Nashville, and for the betterment of this operation here. So, it's unfortunate. I think there's a lot of probably factors. The promotion business, as you will, any kind of promotion is very risky. There's a lot of things that can impact it, so we take that into consideration. I also take into consideration that we've been in a lot of change here on the property. There's been a lot of decisions being made around us and through this board, improvements being made, but with those improvements comes construction and chaos and a little bit of uncertainty sometimes, and negativity swirling around about change. So there's a lot of factors that come into play, I think. But if you'd like to speak at all about some of the issues and some of the, if you have a case you'd like us to know about how we could best proceed to have a win-win, not only for the Speedway, but for the community that enjoys the sport.
So, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Caleb, going back to some of the things that you addressed just now, I'll start with the ARCA situation. Bob Sargent did contact us, and we did send him a proposal. Unfortunately, Mr. Sargent did not want to pay the type of money we were looking for. I felt like what we were asking was very reasonable. It was not much more than what he was paying you all in the last 5 years, and we were actually going to give him a little more. We couldn't reach a price agreement. I've stated this many times, but I feel as though in order for us to make money and be able to continue in business, we can't just give the facility away to where it costs us money. We're not in a situation where we can do that. We would absolutely love to have an ARCA race here.
We've heard many different versions on this ARCA situation. I've actually heard that they haven't released a 2020 schedule, which I haven't seen. So I'm not sure that ARCA is completely out of the question. That doesn't, go ahead.
Do you mind telling us the price that we're looking for?
So, yeah, absolutely. We were asking for $8,000 for a Thursday to Sunday rental. We were going to supply him with all the safety trucks, safety equipment, ticket booths, and then, of course, anything else that he was looking for outside of what he brought to the table. We would obviously be willing to work with him on a price. We offered him a couple of extra deals, in exchange for maybe like $1 off every ticket or pit pass sold to lower the rent. It was just not something he was interested in doing.
And what was the rent they
From
used to
you
pay
guys?
us, that they used to pay us?
$6,000.
Okay. And what was the rent they were looking for?
He wanted to pay $4,000,
Okay.
no more than $4,000.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I think the issue wasn't the amount of the rent that he listed. It was the fact that y'all had met with him in March. He stated he needed a proposal by May 4th, and the proposal wasn't sent till September 4th. So it was a lack of, on top of, multiple communications. So I think that was the issue that he
We
listed.
actually met with Bob after his race in May. We never met with Bob in March. Bob had his race in May, and we met with him not long after his event. And yes, we did send him a proposal in September after we were contacted by him. It did take us a little bit of time because we were going through moving our race to August the 31st and, just having a very small staff right now. And we made him aware of that. We sent him a proposal on September the 4th, and I believe after going back and forth for about a week, he then said that there was no way we could have an ARCA race because ARCA had already submitted their schedule.
I have
Go
a
ahead.
follow-up question. I'm trying to get the calendar right here. So you all didn't meet in March?
No.
Scott, were you at a meeting?
The 2019 race.
Okay. Okay. But there was but was that in March? Okay. He mentioned of 2020. Okay, so that's what he's referring to in his email. And then Bob Sargent emailed Laura in August and notified her that he had been unable to hear from you guys and that the date was already basically gone according, by ARCA's terms in mid-August. So could you speak at the mic, Mr. Formosa, so we can hear you? Could you speak at the mic so we can hear you? Thanks.
Bob Sargent, myself, and Scott Wallace had a meeting in the suite. We were able to structure the contract within 15 minutes. And at that point, Bob had indicated that he didn't want to pay but $3,500 to $4,000 for the facility for the coming year. And I told him that that would be impossible, that I could not give him the facility for that. We have tried numerous combinations to make this work. Laura and I met on this, and she had some suggestions about it. And we took those suggestions to Bob as far as cutting the rent where it wouldn't have to come out of his pocket and giving us a portion of like $2 for each ticket sale or whatnot, where it would cut the cost down for him. He wasn't interested in doing that. He kept telling us that he only paid $3,500 for this facility and $4,000 for this facility and whatnot and everything. I told him when we negotiated this 2019 event that we could not let him have the facility for $3,500. That's what he was offering us at the 2019 meeting.
I want to kind of also talk a little more about the issue we're here on, which is the overdue, the primary issue we're here on, which is the overdue payments. I mean, where do you guys stand on the $128,000 owed? I mean, what is the that's a breach. I mean, what's the plan? I mean, we talked in April about renegotiating. I asked you in April when you appeared at the board, do you guys want to renegotiate? And so why no renegotiation then? Why are we now 6 months later and we're now $128,000 in overdue rent payments? I'm trying to understand what the plan is going forward, how we get compliant from your payment perspective.
Well, Bob has recently been talking about us putting on a Super Series with a Pro Series race, which is one of my divisions. So we're in the negotiation stages of doing that right now.
Well, no. I'm trying to return back to the issue we're here on today, which is the overdue rent payments. I mean, what are y'all's comments on that issue and how those payments are being made, including payments we're still being owed for 2018? I'm just concerned that there's sort of y'all have been sort of behind on paying ever since this contract has been in place, and so how do we get caught up?
We have been behind due to the rainouts and the construction and the different things that we signed on the RFP that are not happening now. We are behind. But you know what? 10 years ago, I came here and I took this facility over and it was gone, and I built it up. And we never had a problem paying up until last year when the rainout started in October. We had a race in October. We got rained out in November. We didn't race in December. We didn't race in January. We didn't race in February. We got rained out in March. We got rained out in April. We got rained out in May. We got rained out in June.
I guess one concern is that
And we've been playing catch up. That's all.
well, and I think last year the payments, the probably gap would have been larger, right? Other than SMI's payment they made to y'all, which kind of helped narrow that gap, right?
It did. It did help us. It did help us bring everything current.
Okay.
Claire, do you have anything else you wanted to share?
So Jason, going back to your questions, I think there's no doubt whatsoever the rain has played a huge part in us being behind on our payments. As I've said many times, this is a weather-dependent industry, which makes it really tricky for us. I don't think we ever imagined in a million years that we would rain out 8 months in a row. And it's really hard to have cash flow and pay your employees and run a business as well as make a $23,000 a month payment. Going back to your statement in April when you reached out about renegotiating the contract, I don't think in a million years we ever dreamed that we would have 4 more rainouts ahead of us. At that time, we had 3 music events booked. We had the World of Outlaw event booked. We were looking to partner up with the ARCA. And unfortunately, there's just been a very long series of unfortunate events that have happened that have just put us behind. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this or not, but the last event we had on Labor Day at Fair Park with John Smith, he stopped payment on our check. It was a huge mess, and we're now in the middle of a lawsuit with him trying to get our money for that event. That's a huge hit. It's a part of doing business. We understand that, but it's just a long series of events that have happened that have gotten us to this point. Caleb, going back to your statement, I heard you mention, we did say we were going to have special events. Definitely the plan. I think we all know what last year brought for us with the soccer stadium and what was going to happen and what are we going to do. Is there going to be a soccer stadium? Where are we going to park? How are we going to have parking? And I think we're still just now getting to the final stages of figuring out the parking issues. I know that there's times where the speedways need it for parking, and we have no problem with that whatsoever. With all the construction and all the changes that are being made to this property, we're definitely rolling with everything and learning together. Not going to say that it's 100% the weather. It's definitely been a learning curve. I think There's no doubt, I have no problem saying that we bit off more than we could chew with the amount of money we guaranteed you guys for the RFP each month with the things that are happening here. So I appreciate you guys' the patience that you all have had with us this far. I know it's definitely been tough to deal with. There's a lot of rumors that are flying. There's a lot of things that are being said that are definitely untrue. And I appreciate all of you guys' support and patience, especially Laura.
Regarding the event you have a dispute over, I believe that vendor has, Metro doesn't contract with that vendor anymore. Are you aware of that? And I do think that Fairgrounds staff did warn you about that vendor in advance, right? Okay. I'm not.
No, I absolutely agree.
Business disputes happen, and I'm not saying.
We tried to get out of that. Unfortunately, it was a big mess, and it was a series of events that led up to the morning of the event. We put on the event to try to save all of us from getting a black eye.
If Metro doesn't allow it, why would we allow the guy on the property?
They don't work with him anymore. Was my understanding. They don't work with him anymore in other departments.
Well, who knew that?
I think that it was communicated in advance of working with that gentleman, wasn't it?
Laura, did you know that?
We took a hit on all 3 of those events.
And I think that it was communicated to you in advance that there was a risk there with working with that outfit.
We took a hit on all 3 of those
We
events.
can control who has an event on our property. In my opinion, I'm just one.
Well,
if we got a bad promoter in town, why would we want him to have an event on our property? Yeah.
So when events are entered into by Mr. Formosa under the contract, he has authority to contract with whomever he wishes to contract with. We don't have authority that I'm aware of for us to tell him you cannot contract
true.
with this
What I'm
person.
saying as
So from a
the
legal
chairman of the Fair Board, I would have liked to have known that there was discussion amongst the staff or whoever knew about this, and that this person has now had an event on our property which impacts our facility and our community, and
3 events.
the guy already has a bad reputation, apparently, and I'm just hearing about it now. I never heard about this before. I'm annoyed. It's not a legal matter. It's a business situation. You've got, you don't want to have to jump at an event just to get a paycheck when you know they didn't get a paycheck. And we have a black eye because we had an event here by a promoter who doesn't do what he's supposed to do.
We went back and forth with John on his second event, which took place he had a series of 3 events: April, July, September. His second event, he actually contacted Scott and Laura and wanted to have the event at Fair Park. Laura told him no. However, her and Scott both stayed involved with us to try to help smooth matters out. So he had his event in July on the Speedway. It went a lot better than the first event, and then the last event came, which was held on Fair Park. And I can tell you at 4 a.m. on Saturday, the night before his event, we were outside with Metro Police Department because he refused to sign our contract and refused to pay us. We told him that, seeing as how it was at that point, Sunday of a holiday, that we wanted our payment made in cash or with a cashier's check, and that if he didn't sign our contract, that we would not be able to host the event. When we left that night, we were not having the event. I believe at 6 a.m. the next morning, he contacted Laura and was threatening to go to the mayor and bring in all the media outlets, and Laura contacted us and said, look, we really need to try to do this, which we agreed. We didn't want anyone to get a black eye from it. So Dad and myself came back to the Speedway at 10 a.m. We signed a contract and accepted a check. We took the check to the bank. Monday was Labor Day. We took a check to the bank Tuesday, and they had already issued a stop payment on it.
Yeah. think that's the hardest part in this, because so those have been the only events, the non-racing events this year out of the 17 dates y'all have every year, right? Those three. Have there been any others?
No.
Okay.
So wait,
We had- well,
this
we had-
same party had an event that went off okay.
So, issue, good event, issue. So 3. The second event was semi-decent. There were some minor issues in the concourse, but Dad and Randy and Laura addressed those.
And so I guess that's kind of so with those three, and then last year in the first year, where were we at on those 17 nights? How many were we at? What was the count?
I think we had 2 to 3 food festivals.
I think that's the hard part, Claire, because since I was the board member in the negotiations, there was a lot of talk in front, and we were talking about the kind of whole picture of this, that there were, a lot of potential for those 17 nights. And, that package also then included, the ability for y'all to program track rentals, which then played off of the rent. And it all kind of fit together. And, those non-racing events haven't been really used. And, it's a hard package. The package hasn't really worked out the way.
It hasn't. You're absolutely right. And I'm going to say that it's probably, I want to say, 75-25. You have to take into consideration all that we've been up against with the construction and, the issues of parking and, up until 3 weeks before the All-American 400 last year, we didn't even know how we were going to get haulers in, so it hasn't been the easiest. It has definitely been much easier in 2019. No doubt last year was definitely a struggle, just trying to figure out parking and entering and things like that. The construction of the concourse put us out a lot last year. We didn't have access to the concourse a lot last year because of the renovations. We couldn't really say anything. You guys were doing a huge favor to us. I mean, it looks so much better. The bathrooms are great. So it's kind of been a little give and take. And then the weather has absolutely played a huge part this year. We were trying to figure out how to put back in our 8th race. There's no way in the calendar that we're going to be able to do that. So we're actually only going to have 7 racing events this year, outside of, World of Outlaws and ARCA. Our personal events are only going to reach 7 this year. We're not going to have 8 racing events. The calendar's just not going to allow it.
Well, one other question on, just so as we sort of consider what to do, does Jim Roberts represent you or not? And if there was a desire to renegotiate, is he going to be there or not? Because I think that there's question.
Jim Roberts is our attorney.
Okay.
I would like for him to be present when renegotiating. I'm assuming that's something that you guys have went back and forth on. I know that when Laura and Dad and I met, there was some talk about, the state fair coming up and, then you have the October flea, and I think we all kind of agreed that maybe the middle of October to 1st of November would be a better solution for all of us time-wise to sit down and try to renegotiate. We wanted to get through this hurdle first.
And there was some other information provided to us about question marks about some suppliers for the racing, tires and fuel. Are you guys on top of that situation?
Absolutely.
For All-American 400,
absolutely.
That's not going to be an issue.
So our tire vendor actually was on site this past weekend at our race. I went down and met with him at another track in Florida and talked with him and discussed with him and, was made aware that some people had reached out to him. It was no secret. He knew our situation, and he's been very patient with us and worked with us all year. There was never an issue that we were not going to have fuel and that we were not going to have tires. Let me just make that very loud and very clear right now. That was never an issue. I know that it was brought to you all that it was. And I believe that Laura reached out to Jeff Freeman and discussed with him, and that was cleared up immediately. But he actually came here this past weekend just to help us out, to free me up, to let me out of the tire barn so that I could go do other things on race day that I needed to. And he will be here for the All-American 400 as well.
What about the cleanup issues? You referenced the state fair, created some issues at the track.
So We spoke with Scott Jones after the state fair, and I know Scott had a small cleanup crew this year as well. We spent, I believe, right at 2 weeks cleaning, a little over 2 weeks just cleaning up what his guys were unable to. That takes time, you know. We had to get the fire hose and glass and car parts and things like that. That just, you know, I don't believe Scott had the staff with his moving from his office next door, but it took us right at 2 weeks to get everything cleaned up from the monster truck show.
We had to repaint all the walls. We had to replace all of our snipes, and there was an enormous amount of dirt and glass and car parts left on the speedway. There was no way that we could have a race in the condition that the track was left.
I guess going back to the payment, when do you think you will be available to pay the balance due?
Our goal would be, if we can have the December 31st amendment made, we would have you guys paid in full by then. We need to be able to get through the All-American 400. That race can be very successful. It always has been in the past, as long as the weather cooperates with us. Last year it did not, but we're hopeful that this year it will. If we can get these rumors cleared up that are being started by people who obviously do not want to see us successful, if we can get the support of you guys and have these issues cleared up, this race is less than 31 days away. So we're up against a time crunch here. This race has the potential to be very, very successful with all the cards that we have going for us right now. But unfortunately, everyone is very timid and hesitant to invest into this race with the things that are floating in the air.
You look like you're about to say something.
I didn't know if anyone was going to say anything. I'd like to ask each and every one of you folks just one question. You folks are very familiar with the construction that's going on here and everything. When I signed a contract 2 years ago to pay this amount, there was nothing in there about a soccer stadium coming here. There was nothing in there about Nolensville Road entrance closing. There was nothing in there about any construction of any shape, form, or fashion. What do you think it did to my business just closing Nolensville Road? Do you think it affected it any? How many times do you folks think my customers have been turned away this year because there wasn't any parking? They were told that there were no parking. We were full.
When has that
My
happened?
$5 night, we had cars turned away because of a dinosaur show, and there was no parking left. What do you think that does to our business?
I don't know if staff agrees with that assertion, and I want to have that conversation about the ins and outs of all the issues, but I don't think is that correct, Laura, that cars were turned away?
Tony did indicate in a previous meeting that that was his understanding. I did bring it to our parking staff, who indicated that they were not turned away. They were relocated to another entrance, more conducive servicing the race rather than the other event that we had on that day. So it was a relocation of entry, not turned away. That came from our parking manager.
I mean, I'll just say that, I mean, I do have empathy. Personally, I'm just one person sitting here. I have empathy for that. Yes, I do. And I think we've publicly and administratively have tried to talk about this. Yeah, maybe there's a way to work out parts of this because of situations. And it sounds like you've had some very unfortunate experiences with weather. That seems like what I heard was the biggest issue. Yeah, we have empathy, and we also have appreciation for the years of service here, making it work up to this point. So we're trying to figure out a way out of this. We have to do it in an open and transparent way. We have to, we're trying to collaborate with you. We want to do the best thing for the facility and for the racing community as well, for the Speedway. There's lots of potentially exciting opportunities here. We want to make sure that the local racing schedule is maintained properly and people are excited about it, and we can bring positive energy back to the facility, stop all the talk of the place is going to close down. They're just trying to close it down, all this stuff, because that's not the case at all. Yeah, I definitely acknowledge that and appreciate that.
One second.
Let me just, while you fix that, but the other thing too is, just even in the short run, like this particular season, we want to do the right thing. There's legal ramifications. There's relationship scenarios here that are long-standing, and there's the general community, the racing community, and the community of Nashville too, that has to be considered. Right, exactly. Yes. So, and I think what I'm hearing is this last race, knock wood, if there's no rain or whatever, could be an opportunity to take the season in stock, look at the issues that have occurred, look at everything in total, and maybe there's some funds that come from that event to hopefully sit down and take stock of it at the end of the season. I'm just freelancing here.
I agree with everything you're saying, but we also have a fiduciary duty to this property and to the city. So we need to look at this realistically. So in terms of, we've offered to renegotiate several times. I think that we can take status quo off the table. I don't think that status quo works. So looking to the future and sitting down to renegotiate, whatever that looks like, I think full projections of what best case scenario looks like. We need to know that walking into any renegotiation for this upcoming race, because we need to know if this back rent is going to be paid or not, and how you can potentially pay that.
So, I guess our confusion was, before we can even move to the renegotiation stage, is the amendment of the contract for the payment date, right? That was the way we were made aware of the situation. So we kind of, stopped efforts of moving forward.
She wants
on
it
the
mic.
negotiations to wait to see.
Could you speak in here? Sorry, they need it for the record.
Just stay up here and speak.
Sorry, it's awkward.
So we were just made aware that before we could continue into the renegotiation stages, that we had to get past the amendment of the payment date. So we've kind of halted moving forwards towards renegotiations to wait for this meeting to see if we were going to be able to do the amendment to the payment date.
Was that your attorney that told you that, or who made you aware of that?
Kind of a meeting we had between myself and Laura and Dad, and the advice we were given from Jim. We were like, do we move into renegotiations, not knowing what we're going to do on the past due payments?
Laura, I'd like you to comment, because all I know is what the contract states, and that is X payment is due on X date, which is past due. So.
Agreed. I mean, there's, again, infinite options on steps that the board can take. It really boils down to two issues, is what is the plan for the past due payment, and what then do we do moving forward? So there's really two issues here, and how those are resolved, again, there's many options on the table for how that is.
I think we've heard their position. I'd like the board to kind of consider our options at this point, and I think I have a motion to kind of get those going. So I appreciate y'all. I'm going to make a motion that we can discuss, and happy to consider amendments, but to try to bring some clarity and move this along. I think we're in a position that everybody is sort of isolated, that it's kind of like a chicken or the egg, that, but I think we need an overall renegotiation here if there's going to be one, but we can't we need a finite window. And so the motion I'm going to make is first and foremost that we set a special called meeting of the board on or about the 17th of October, next week. And between that time, with negotiations to occur between that time on an amendment, on the possibility of an amendment to this contract with Formosa Productions, to try to determine if a solution is available to resolve the overdue payments and the overall status of the contract.
I'll make a second so we can discuss. The one thing, though, I think for this final race to occur, I think we should try to decide that today.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because there's so much work that would need to be done.
And that's forefront of my mind. I mean, we're in a little bit of a... My problem with... I want to see the race occur, because I want the racers to be able to have certainty. I want this... But at the same time, we have a clear breach of the contract. So that's the quandary that I'm in, is that, in my mind, I think we need some sort of amendment, or, a restatement to the contract that acknowledges there's a current and ongoing breach, get a baseline, that. So that's the kind of quandary I'm dealing with, is I think we need to move very quickly to try to resolve these issues so that we can allow, but I'm not comfortable with the notion of just sort of definitively saying right here and now necessarily that we can just absolutely say the All-American 400 should go ahead as is with the rents. I'm trying to figure out a way to put more onto the situation, more definite sort of metrics to try to resolve the overall solution. And so how do we do that?
Well, we're having discussions, so feel free, anybody. What I heard right now is they wanted to move the due date to the end of the year. So that's one option.
Go ahead.
I mean, I think I agree with the chairman that we should send a strong message that the season will continue and they can hold that last race and try to make it as financially beneficial as possible. I think we should just go ahead and put that on the table, send that strong message so that they can be successful, in deference to this relationship and their past relationship with our board and this property.
I agree. I think just having a special call meeting puts more onus on it may not happening. And to Laura's point earlier, and concur with Bonna's, it's just having that discussion middle of the month could potentially create the atmosphere that may not happen, which none of us want to have. But I do get your urgency, and that's hopefully the message we're relaying. And but being that race is that the second and third, Laura? Okay. And our next board meeting would be, soon thereafter, the next week after. I think we would have time, but my personal feeling is, I would want a concrete plan signed off by legal and Laura to the extent brought for the board in cooperation with the Formosas. I mean, I think we've given a very long leash to this point because of that relationship and because of your past history that we probably wouldn't have given to another vendor. But, as to Commissioner McNally's point, with our fiduciary duty is our first responsibility. And when you wind back the clock, we had 3 years ago before this current contract, around 2 or 3 years ago, we renegotiated so you could do split up payments to help you out. Did that last year. We've had a similar issue with non-payment, and there was an issue about when you got bills and whatnot, and so we had some deference around that. Now we're here a third year dealing with a payment issue, and so I just want to make sure we got a plan in place to get it done.
I do want to say too, I have strong empathy, and I will speak loudly to whoever, council, mayor. We didn't know there was a soccer stadium coming when we negotiated that contract either. I mean, nobody had any idea. So there is some empathy in my personal
But there was
for the situation.
There was always going to be change in progress.
And I do have to say that it's rather unfortunate that a certain measure of the negativity is from supposed deep supporters of racing, who at the same time are saying racing is dying and racing is getting put down at this track, and that's having the effect of spreading negativity when this board has consistently, unanimously said that racing will continue, and yet the supposed biggest defenders of racing are saying, no, you're killing racing, and that's creating an environment of tamping down enthusiasm when the board has never said that. So I find that very ironic.
No, I'm just talking about the construction going on, and there's moving entranceways and things like that. It is not necessarily the venue is in transition, which we didn't project when we signed the agreement. So I'm personally acknowledging, I'm just one voice.
I think that, I am in total agreement with the end goal of Commissioners Johnson and Hemmer. I think we need to have the All-American 400. I just want to see proper structure around it that requires this negotiation we've been talking about having for 6 months. And I want to have that negotiation because this contract has not worked out the way it was negotiated, and I want to ensure that there's some structure surrounding what happens the next month to ensure that everybody gets to the table ASAP to do that, and that the next necessary steps happen. So that's the place I'm trying to get to.
Okay, I'm sensing that.
And I'll withdraw my motion.
Yes, exactly. I was going to say.
To that end.
Would you feel comfortable being the board representative in those discussions?
I'm happy to. I mean, we've negotiated the original contract, and I think we agree that those those kind of the triangular piece of 8 events, 17 non-events, track rentals, all the pieces that was supposed to be sort of a set system, and that hasn't worked, and we need to rework that.
Exactly.
But and payments. I mean, that's the box. But how do we structure that, giving them the and I guess we need legal's help too about like what we can actually do and approve right now, and what we can do, to preserve our rights for the ongoing breaches, and how do we bring this in for a landing season?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bergeron, and thank you also, Mr. Horton. I was trying to get in there before you withdrew your motion because I wanted to share some information with you with regard to your motion, but I couldn't quite get in there before that happened. Nonetheless, the board has an opportunity to make as many motions as you need to make and discuss them as many times, even if they may be the same motions or different iterations. I do want to share, as I mentioned earlier, that Mr. Jim Roberts had contacted and said that he would not be able to be here, and as represented by Ms. Formosa, he represents them as it relates to the renegotiation. He did ask me in an email if I were available October the 14th. So he has offered that to us as an opportunity for us to sit down and renegotiate, which I believe was the same week that that Mr. Bergeron was suggesting that we would have met by. So to the extent that that's pertinent to your discussion, please know that I am making myself available the first part of that week, and Mr. Roberts has indicated that he is available October the 14th that week for renegotiation discussions, and I have checked my calendar as well and am able to do that. As it relates to coming in for a landing or how to frame this discussion, I just think that I need to kind of go over again what some of your options are, and of course you can deviate from those and accept, reject, or modify as may be the desire of the board. Again, you have an opportunity to you've been presented with information by the executive director. You've been presented with information by Mr. Formosa and Ms. Formosa. Now you have an opportunity to digest that information and decide what, if any, action you want to take. You can take no action, and I believe that one of our commissioners has indicated that really shouldn't be an option given the fiduciary duty, but nonetheless it remains from a legal standpoint, no action is an option. You can take an action to move to amend the contract. One of the amendments that has been suggested is to allow Mr. and Ms. Formosa the opportunity to repay the items that are owing at this point through December 31st and anything else that would be due at that time. That's one of the amendment options. Another amendment option that you might consider is whether or not it might be amended to come up with mutual agreeable terms to either going through the continuous relationship or bringing that relationship to an end. I think there's a myriad of options available to you as an amendment. So there's no action, there's an amendment, there's the full renegotiation. You could renegotiate with the Formosas. You also have an opportunity, if you so choose, to direct contract. And I think Ms. Womack laid that out at the onset of the conversation. So no action, amendment, renegotiation, perhaps next week with Mr. Jim Roberts and the Formosas, as well as myself and Ms. Womack. You also have the opportunity or option under the contract, and I'm just going through your contract options here, termination for breach. That's clearly been laid out. The board has given a notice of the issues that was given at the last meeting. There was information given as to related to how the promoter was put on notice of those breaches and opportunity to cure, which the contract requires 30 days for there to be an opportunity to cure. That has been given, so that remains an option. The only other option I see in the contract that the board has not discussed, and it is an option, so I have to tell you legally that it is an option for the board, and that is a 90-day termination for convenience clause. The way the contract is written, it contemplates termination for breach. It also contemplates essentially termination for convenience. That notice is a 90-day notice requirement, and we've not taken any steps in that direction thus far. But those are your actions. Again, 90-day termination for convenience, termination for breach, full renegotiation with the existing contractor, amendment to the existing contract, or no action at all. And those, legal does not have a recommendation as to any of those. It is fully within the discretion of the board to determine what is in the best interest of the Fairgrounds moving forward. But I wanted to make sure that you were well aware of what your options could be. And again, under amendment or renegotiations, there are a myriad of different ways that could be done.
Just, Chairman, for clarity, the termination for convenience is 90 days after the vote to the motion.
That would be correct. We have to give a 90-day notice, so it would be 90 days from whenever that letter goes out, indicating that there's going to be a termination. We have to give a 90-day period before it can be effective.
And termination for breach is immediate, could be immediate or a certain date?
The contract contemplates termination for breach is immediate or can be immediate. Certainly the board can give more opportunity if the board so chooses. It can be immediate as long as there has been, for whatever the breach is, as long as there has been an opportunity to cure that has been at least 30 days.
And amendment to the contract can just be brought before the board at any time.
That's correct. Amendment to the contract, it really kind of is very similar to what you might do if you were going to renegotiate the contract. The parties would get together and have an opportunity for conversation and what hopefully would be an amenable amendment from both sides. And there may be some give on both sides. And bring that back to the board. The board would then accept, reject, or modify that amendment, and we would enter into it at the board's direction.
And Laura, just going the timeline stuff, past due date, where are we? Are we 120 days past due, or what's? I know there's multiple payments, so it's kind of hard to say, but.
There, so June, July, August, September of 19 for payments.
And then the last year's
Concessions.
concession.
Yes.
Okay. I know I guess we had some conversations from Claire saying that, she expects to pay by the end of the month. I know staff and legal and Commissioner Bergeron will be discussing this, but, I guess one of the things on my mind is, I think we'll know, they should be knowing after their last race how their fiscal situation is. And, we've already a long way past due, so I think I'm hoping the board would have clarity at our November meeting or, at the latest December meeting, because, you start thinking into December, then it's January, and then, then we're 90 days out again, so.
Yeah, I think you raise an important point that's become evident is another piece we lack on that is a little bit of informational. One thing we don't have a clear track of, and I think we need, is reliable paid attendance to be able to identify these issues. I mean, we see, a writer, in the Tennessean say, oh, there were 37,000 people at a race or whatever, and that's respectfully not true. But we need to see what actual paid attendance was, so we need more metrics to understand. I think we can isolate issues earlier when we say, oh gosh, well, paid attendance was only this or that, so we can then compare it to the rent and understand what can really be supported. And I think that helps identify, get to exactly what you're saying, and I think that's another thing that needs to be discussed here and put in.
I mean, there was the mention of asking for later, end of year reconciliation payment date.
What should it say?
Yeah.
What does that do to us, though, as a body? What would a payment waiting until December 31st?
I think it would essentially kicks the can down the road, allows the final race.
Right, but I'm talking about financially. What does that do to us?
For our cash flow, you mean?
Present findings to the board.
Well, we're already, obviously, we're kind of into reserves as it is understanding that we haven't gotten revenue that we anticipated. However, it is within the existing fiscal year. So, and as far as end of year goes, I mean, it would still count towards. Now, there is a payment, the June payment technically is last fiscal year. So it is beyond the time where that can be coded back as revenue for that year. So we will have an additional payment, assuming that balance is made whole. We'll actually have an additional revenue for this fiscal year because it cannot be booked backwards for the last fiscal year.
My only concern with making a motion that just says, okay, today we just moved to amend 12/31/19 for payments. If we just did it alone that, I'm concerned, Susan, about any notion of sort of waiving these ongoing breaches, because these are ongoing breaches, and that's the place I'm trying to get through is what do we do on, if we wanted to go with that concept of giving that extension, how do we protect the, the department in that regard for breaches that are, indisputably have happened?
Right. I think you include that in the motion. I think you would include that in the motion. So if the motion were to allow for amendment to accept payment up through December 31st of 2019, and that I think your motion would have to include a statement that by doing so, the Fair Board is in no way waiving any of its rights under the contract. as it relates to any breaches of the contract to that point. So I think your motion just has to contemplate it.
And I think we do have language about a no waiver in the base contract, right?
We do.
8.14,
Uh-huh.
but obviously want to reiterate that. Is that
Right, we do. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that would waive anything, really. It just moves our due date, trying to accommodate where we stand with the weather issues and everything else that's happened to date. An opportunity to, have the final race and sit down and look at what happened and where do we go from here.
Let me try again on a motion and see what this one can do. I'll make a motion that reserving all rights under the current contract and in no way waiving any rights or breaches therein, and specifically subject to the ongoing breaches for missed payments that have been discussed today. I would move that the board would approve an amendment to allow the currently due payments be made by December 31st, 2019, with the statement that we request immediate meetings with Formosa Productions to renegotiate and complete renegotiations on the term of this contract.
Immediate meaning following the race?
No, maybe starting now to renegotiate. Immediate.
And Susan, just so you know, so that everyone's aware, he and I will both be available on the 14th.
Second that for purpose of discussion.
For discussion, yeah. And so to clarify what I think where you're going with it, what I'm saying is I want those meetings to be happening immediately. I mean, I think clearly by setting that payment extension, reserving all rights, what we're saying is the All-America 400 is happening. I mean,
Right.
We're not going to cancel the contract, but I don't want to wait until the second week in November to work on negotiations. I want to be negotiating now
Right.
to fix everything else because this has been going on too long.
For sure. Do you consider the renegotiation, if there's any renegotiation to come down on these payments, for that to happen after the race or before the race?
To come down?
Yeah.
I have no idea if that's
Okay.
even on the table.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think any negotiations about amounts beyond what is on paper right now probably should happen after, not based on projections, because
Okay.
we don't know weather, we don't know attendance.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't
yeah.
want to start those conversations at all until we know what that looks like. If we're moving
Yeah,
forward with the all.
no, I think that makes sense. I'm just trying to think how we. Well, the one thing I didn't put in the motion was who would be handling the negotiations, but I guess we can figure that out. But also, I mean, I think if it's me, I heard what you said and I agree completely. I agree completely, and I wouldn't. I mean, if it's me who's negotiating it, I won't.
Aaron, can you repeat that, please, because a little bit into the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm really bad at that. I was just saying that in terms of looking at the amount that's due, there's a chance that this race might not go perfectly and that we might not be able to reach that number. To renegotiate that number, I don't want to do it based on projections. I'd like to do it based on real numbers after the race is what I was saying.
Okay.
I would suggest doing that.
But I guess I would add is, the race is a success, and the race, if it isn't, there's still the amount due. I think the board was intending on the 2019 payments due by the end of the year. So, I mean, depending on the negotiations, I guess we come back and determine on it. But I'd say me sitting here right now, my opinion is, I would hope these payments are paid.
Absolutely, but it's
Sooner
based on.
than later.
I mean, what I'm hearing is it's based on the success of this race, whether or not we get paid this full amount.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. So it's awkward to talk about, but what I'm saying is if it doesn't go well, then there's gonna have to be some renegotiation or breach of contract.
Or
So that's all I'm saying is that we not contemplate any of those amounts until based on projections.
And And may I add something? The board meeting, I believe, is after the race for the November one. And so we would report back to you at the board meeting. And so I think we would have those numbers that you're asking about. I think we can look at the calendar. I believe, is it not?
November 12th.
You're right. So the race would have occurred by then, would it not? Okay, so we'll have that before, and when we get ready to report back to the board as to the status of the renegotiation, we will have those numbers that you guys are discussing now.
All right, so we had a motion, we had a second, we're having discussion.
I don't know if we need an amendment or just, I think
Well,
our intention was for Jason to be.
Thank you for saying that. You can do a separate motion.
Separate or amended? What are you telling me?
But we need a vote on the motion that's on the floor now, and then after this motion to extend it, and I don't want to try to put words in your mouth, but after the current motion is voted upon, you can also make an additional motion if you want a representative from this board, Mr. Bergeron, or whomever you all wish to be a part of that negotiation team.
Well, I think that doing it two separate motions might be a good way to, if we get the consensus first on that first step, that
Correct.
we're doing a thing, and then
I agree.
then that would seem to make sense, right?
I agree.
Is there anything else that needs to go in the current motion then that we need to, or are we ready to vote on that one?
No, I think you framed it pretty well. Is everybody ready to vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, so that's step one.
Make a motion for Commissioner Bergeron to be the board representative with Metro Legal and Fairgrounds staff for the contract extension, or how do you want to say it? Contract renegotiation, excuse me.
Second.
Strike extension.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? I would like to make sure that we all have proper input, maybe whether we meet with the Formosas or Laura or both individually. We can't do it as a group. And also, or write something up to give to Jason, like here's some things that I would think about this.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, whatever's the appropriate way.
Concepts.
Absolutely happy to receive those comments to make to Laura. And Laura has, previously when we had the racing negotiation, Laura, brought to the table all priorities from all the other commissioners. So probably the easiest way to do it. Did we approve that motion?
No, we haven't. Any further discussion on that or questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. We have a plan.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, board, for whatever it's worth. I will make this right, and I will continue to be a good steward for this city, promoting border stock car racing, like I always have.
Thank you, Tony. All right. We have some new business brought to the agenda, consideration of establishing a curfew policy.
You want me to go ahead, Laura?
It's all yours.
This was something I asked to be added for discussion. So as a way of background, the current racing contract for any concert or music related event booked under the racing contract, the curfew is 10 p.m. Under the term sheet with the MLS team, any concerts they will be holding at the new soccer stadium will be 10 p.m. There is an event coming up in a week. A week at Fair Park called the Breakaway Festival, and for this year at least, that contract's been agreed to set up an end date for them of 11 p.m. And that led me to sort of try to ponder about whether we just can consider going ahead and being consistent. That when there's a concert at the fairgrounds, that it's going to end at 10 p.m. And more my rationale behind that is it's not downtown. We're not Ascend. We're not in the middle of the entertainment district, and I think that it's an appropriate small measure to say that concerts here will end at 10 p.m. and that will be the policy in line with 2 contracts we already have, coming down, either existing or coming down the pipeline, that are going to apply. And I think that it will be easier to be consistent all across the board in that regard. So that's kind of why I asked Laura to put that on the agenda for discussion.
I would ask that someone, and I'm happy to help with this, put together a best practices report based on other municipal properties in other cities. I have dealt with the city on noise ordinances and curfews quite a bit, actually. So I would like to take a look at that before we contemplate. I think limitations can be very limiting. So I would like to look at
Sure.
a well-rounded presentation of that.
Great.
Is anybody interested?
You're volunteering for that?
Bring to bear.
On the board I would defer to. Do you have any initial thoughts based on your prior life?
I think that the less limitations you place on yourself with best practices ongoing on the property, the better. Giving ourselves a limitation to stay within and not ever being able to go beyond that, that initially doesn't sound like a great proposal to me, but I think we can look at that, if that makes sense. If we don't need to place it on ourselves, if we're going to generally stay within that, but if there's an exception that comes along, you know what I mean? I just want to look at what
I think it's
the
wise to
benefits
look at.
Do it.
Yeah, I think it's wise to look at it. I'm just curious.
What was the rationale between 10 o'clock for racing events and 11 o'clock for music events? Why were there 2 different curfews?
I don't, honestly, there really wasn't a distinction leading into the Breakaway event. Traditionally, we have kept outdoor music events to 10:30, obviously out of consideration for our neighbors. We've got very close homes to the property, so we're always cognizant of base levels and noise exceeding our property lines. So we've always just tried to keep it at a reasonable hour. This is a new event for us. Traditionally, they have gone to 11 o'clock in other venues. This was at Bicentennial Park last year. So it's something that we had indicated early that we wanted to look at, and it got through to this point before realizing that, their understanding was that they were going to be able to have the same hours. We've certainly reached out to them, and I've talked to the president of their company and said, obviously we want to secure great events like this moving forward, but we may need to roll that back a little bit, at least 2 nights in a row, because it is a Friday and Saturday night to 11 p.m.
What is Breakaway? And then also, I think we already had one concert in Fair Park. Did we have any complaints or feedback from the neighborhood committee on that?
No, my understanding, so the last, and Scott, you can probably talk to this as well, because usually Scott's the one who gets some phone calls. Usually, again, it is base, and we'll get a little ping on our phones that's like, can you guys turn it down a little bit? The other tactic that we employ is stage direction of the stage. Originally, this event that is coming up this weekend was facing Craighead, so the stage was more towards the Speedway, projecting out towards the dog park and the intersection of Craighead and Bransford. And as part of those discussions, and just for logistics in the park that we've found works really well with those types of events, is switching the stage towards the restroom facility, which then projects the stage sound to the hill. It goes right into the hillside towards the Speedway. So there's that buffer there, and that is going to be really helpful.
Yeah, and adding to that, we usually have when we have our rodeos and it's amplified music, we tell them, and they usually have it on a Sunday, we let them know that 9:30 is the latest they can do it. So we do it because it's on the next days of school and a work day, so we try to be cognizant of that. And the previous event, they went a little past 10, and I let them know. It took me a few minutes to get to them to tell her to turn it off, which I got a couple of phone calls. And one phone call I got, the neighbor said at their house it was loud, but when they came down, it wasn't that loud. They came down and went past, it wasn't that loud. So it kind of, they live on top of a hill, so it was kind of that. But they were not upset or anything. But I got a few phone calls, but that was it. And we expect that. That's why we have someone here on staff to make sure those things are being done. And like Laura said, it's about the bass. And when you have multiple musicians, some of them don't have loud bass, some of them do. And this weekend, I think Laura made them well aware, and we're going to be aware of who's going to have the bass loud, and try to make sure that the ones that go past that time frame, that 10 o'clock time frame, will not be as loud as someone maybe going at 8 or at 9.
Yes. Thank you. Is this like a DJ festival, or what kind of?
You have some musicians here, some performers. They had Wiz Khalifa last year, and I think Wiz Khalifa is coming back. So people like that in that genre.
I think there's a DJ pretty high up on the thing, and I think he does what the kids call the bass drops. So
yeah,
we'll have to see.
Yeah, and last year I was told that Shaquille O'Neal was here. Now, yeah, so he's in town. I've been told. I got a little intel on that. So I don't know if he's going to come again yet. That may be a surprise. So it may be some surprise DJs and things like that. But I think it's going to be a great time. We're excited about it. A lot of work went into this, and to thank Susan and Laura, especially contractually, we had some hiccups, and we're still dealing with some hiccups, as a matter of fact. But they've been working hard on trying to get those things taken care of, so I appreciate that.
I don't like looking up to anybody, so keep him away from me.
Yeah, you would be looking up to him. Yeah, so.
Yeah, negotiations for this contract, we're very much looking forward to this event, and we're encouraged that venues like the new improved Fair Park area is drawing interest to events like that. It can be very lucrative, obviously, and I want to thank D&D as well. They have spent countless hours along with us to work with the event promoters on food and beverage and security needs. So thank you to them also for finalizing the details of this event.
And we also have 3 events down here as well. So there's going to be a lot of people here. Be a lot of people here this weekend, and we just want to. It's going to be a good test of how things work out. But I think it's going to be fine.
Thank you.
Well, to Aaron's point, then, as you look at best practices, I assume you're looking at more than just the curfew time. You'll look at stage placement and base levels after a certain hour and that sort of thing, right?
Yep.
So maybe we don't limit ourselves.
I'm not an engineer, but
Yeah. I don't want to handcuff ourselves too much on time if we can mitigate in other ways.
I wasn't hoping for a vote today on anything. I wanted to start the conversation. I just wanted to get it, it seemed like a good way to get everybody to start talking. I appreciate Commissioner McAnally's willingness to add, to start adding some metrics so we can work on that. I appreciate that. That's great. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so any other comments or observations we need to go over?
One thing I tell Laura, I had ran into a employee at Metro Parks last week and was asking him about their league staff and what discussions they've had around the Fair Park, and he was saying that they had some kind of internal discussions around, how best to do that, but, work with us on the scheduling, and I think there's some internal deliberations and probably good for you to insert yourself.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for getting us in our new facility and making a step forward. A lot of work yet to do, but we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.